So we begin from the 3/4 inch mark of the table. Now we're not starting from the 0-inch mark because there's going to be a waistband in construction. Because we cut from the 3/4 inch mark like this, not on the 0-inch mark. Now this is the reason. The waistband is going to enter up to 1/2 inch of the table. So cutting from 3/4 inch mark created the assumption that we are leaving 1/2 inch allowance for fixing the waistband to the table. Now this is just a demo waistband. You can see there's no interfacing inside, there's no staying inside. But the point is, once this waistband is sewn to the trouser, taking up 1/2 inch on the top of the trouser, we are going to now end up with a trouser that starts from the 0-inch mark. This hip now measures 40 inches. So I'll go ahead and divide 40 inches by 4 to give me the crotch. So that is giving me 10. Then I take out 1/4 inch from that. So I'm using 9 3/4 inch for the person's crotch length, which measures 40 inches. So I have his knee length measuring 21 inches, his calf length measures 27 inches, his trouser length measures 42 inches, and then I'll go ahead and leave 2 inches for the bottom hem. Having done that, I'm going to extend all these points. So the next step now is to take the lap measurement. Its lap, which is the fullest part of the body, of the leg rather, measures 28 inches. So I will divide that by 2. Now this 28 inches includes the allowance. So 20 divided by 2 gives me 14. Right? So I'll go ahead and get the midpoint of that, which should be 7. Take this ruler, and I use it to connect to the waistline. So this is like crotch line, knee line, calf line, trouser length, then the hem, right? So I'm going to use this to connect the crotch line to the waistline. And I don't use straight ruler because this gives me a slight slope inwards, right? So I was going to mention that if I go ahead, his waist now measures 36 inches. 36 inches divided by 4, that gives us 9. 9 times 4, 36 plus 1 inch. Now you get the 1 inch from 1/2 inch allowance for joining the zipper here, 1/2 inch allowance for the side seam. That gives me that extra 1 inch I'm adding to it. And I'm going to go ahead and mark 2 inches here. The 2 inches here signifies the starting point for the side pocket. Then I'm going to mark another 7 inches down here for where the side pocket is going to end. Okay, so I'll go ahead now and mark 7 inches here, which is where the zipper or the zip is going to terminate. So of course this further explains why I cannot go with this as my midline, because by the time you finish sewing, let's say we sew 1/2 inch, and you know this part is bending to the side, it's not really accounting for the front part of the trouser, so that the midpoint should be somewhere between this line and this line. If you want to get an accurate crease line that will be pointing to the center. Let me see if I'm right. So this is giving me 13. So 13 divided by 2 has given me the 6.5 inches. So I really hope that makes any piece of sense. Then I'm going to take this my 7.5 inches, and I'll transfer it to every other horizontal markings. Right. So his round knee seems to be smaller than his round calf by 1/4 inch. So in such situations, I just go with the round calf. This one measures 15 inches, but I'm going to add 3 inches to that. Like when measured tight, it was 15 inches, so I'll add 3 inches to that. 18 divided by 2, that's 9. So I will center that. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5, so we'll have 4.5 on this side and 4.5 on this other side, which is 9. So I'll do the same thing. Then his leg opening is 7.5 inches. So I would do the same thing too. Alright, so I'll use, we call for the to connect the crotch line to the hip line. I made the ruler bend this way or align this way. For the other one, I'll be turning it over. Then one other thing I've also noticed is that once you're able to, this ruler gives you a smooth curve from your knee line to your crotch line, and you can still see that curve continues to the waistline. Usually you have a situation whereby the crease line points more towards the center. So you see where the yellow chalk coincides with the white chalk, but it still looks like it's part of the same curve, not like I turned it upside down. If that makes any piece of sense. Then I'll use my free hand to connect this way. Then for this other ones, I prefer to use my free hand. If you wish, you can try using this I think they call it pattern master. Move over to cutting the back panels. This was how I cut the front. Then for the back, I will just turn it so as to save fabric. I extend this existing horizontal line towards the back panel. And I'll raise this a little bit. So to create or to give more comfort to the movement at the back, which has more muscles than every other part of the leg, like the thigh muscles is more than the calf and other ones. So I add 3 inches here and 2 inches for the other part. I'm going to make it go by 1.5 inches. So let's extend this. So I'm going to put a mark at 4.5 inches basically, so the tailor knows that's where he's going to put the dart. Now this is 36 inches, right? 36, and so I add 1 inch. At the end of the day, the dart is going to take out the 1 inch when the tailor is done so connect this. Go ahead and connect this. Now we're cutting the top. The person's neck measures 16.5 inches. The formula to get the neck width and depth is neck divided by 6. So 16.5 divided by 6 on this side, and 16.5 divided by 6 on this other side. Right? Now I'm going to use a shoulder strip depth of 3 inches. I'm not sure I mentioned. I'm cutting the front first, then I use the front to cut the back. Now with shoulder, that's this point to this other point, measuring across, this bone all the way. Is 19 inches. So I'm going to pull that down. 19 divided by 2 is 9.5. Okay, so I'm going to note that. So 3 inches, 3. This chest measures, that the chest when measured like this, without allowance. When measured like this, it measures 42 inches. So I'm using an armhole for the front panel of 7.75 inches. Then because of his height, his midsection, we're going to go ahead and use 17. Are you using for me? Then his waistline, that's where this slit is going to begin or end, whichever you see it as. So yeah, I'm using 24 inches or 24.5. Then the length of the hand length 45 inches, and I leave 2 inches for the hem. So chest is 46 inches. I'm going to leave half inch allowance for sewing. So now I'm going to take out 1/2 inch rather for the midsection. So for this waistline, I'm going to confirm his hip to his chest to be sure that it's within range. So the chest is bigger than the hip, so I'll just transfer the chest measurements down for this hip or waistline. Then this is 1.5 inches for this extra. See, it's not just tiny. If I leave 1/2 inch, by the time I'm bending this, it's going to be thin. But this part and this part looks almost the same thing. So at this point, I will just slant it outwards. Then I connect these points together. So I use this French curve to roll the armhole. Now I'll be very careful to ensure I don't slope it in so much. I think I'll just... Cutting the back panel, use the front as a pattern essentially to cut the back. But the thing to note is that the back is 4 inches bigger than the front.
What?
Now you can decide not to use 4 inches, but this is what you need to note. You can see this side seam on my own kaftan. It's towards the front because it is 4 inches, so it's like 2 inches here, 2 inches at the back. So if you decide to use less than 3 inches, note that the formula I gave for neck might not work. So if you are using neck divided by 6, I want to use this armhole where I said chest 42. That's the chest where I measured it, right? I said the armhole for the front is 7.75 inches. So if you are going to use less than 4 or more than 4, note that you cannot go with those formulas that I gave. I just feel the need to really emphasize on that.
Oh my God!
I said that, so the back is going to be 4 inches longer than the front. So I'll go ahead and mark that 4 inches here. So this is my reference point, 0 inch point. And I'll mark 4 inches here. So this is going to be on that 4 inch mark. All right. So the next thing now is I'm going to use this front panel as a pattern to cut the shoulder scoop for the back. Please hang on, don't yet swipe away. So I'm going to allow it slope all the way to where this armhole point shoots out. So I can do that and then make it good a bit. I will go ahead and drag it down to the 0-inch mark. So now I'm going to fold this for it to stay. So it can either kiss or you make it go on top by 1/2 inch. Then I will create where the armhole is. Now note that I'm cutting from the front to the back. Right, I'm not cutting from the back to the front. So you cut from the front to the back. So I can see clearly. I'll create a notch for the neckline. So the neck depth now is going to be that 4 inches divided by 2 plus 1 inch. So that gives me 3 inches. So for the back, I'm going to go with a neck depth of 3 inches. Then I'm going to curve it to that. I will use my French curve again. If you have this other thing to it, also works to roll the armhole. But it's good for me to mention that the armhole at the back should not be the same at the front. If you make the armhole at the back the same at the front, it's going to restrict your movement. So with movement like this, there will be not enough fabric at the back to allow for it.
Oh, chim!
So just note that the front and the back should not be the same. It should be at least for the back 1/2 inch bigger than the front, so that the wearer can feel comfortable in it. Alright, so yeah, this is what I mean by 1/2 inch. So if you measure this, the difference between these two, it should give you about 1/2 inch. That's it. So cutting the sleeve, for the sleeve cap, what I make my sleeve cap height to be, that's the distance between this top and the bottom. This part is this front part of the sleeve of the kaftan. Here we should have 7.75 inches, 7.5 inches, and then I take out between 2 to 3 inches from that.
Wait a minute, who are you?
So here I have 5.5 inches. So that is within range. Now, how long should this part be? It's really hard to tell how long it should be. What we know for sure is that the length of this curve should be equivalent to the length of the curve on the sleeve, because the sleeve is going to end up fitting into it. So once you've gotten that right, like this is already like 5.5 inches, I can come over to the body itself and then measure what is there. This is 11.5 inches. Then I just do like a trial and error. That's why you can see this mark here. So I did my first trial and error. It was too big. I had to reduce it, and then I got this other one, which is 12 inches. So that's still within range. Now I got the elbow length. So I measured for the shoulder end, so where the sleeve naturally begins, to the elbow. I measured around the elbow, and that's what I've transferred to the cloth. Then also I reduced the arm. So I say I reduce. Anyway, I cut it this way anyway, so that the cloth is not going to be too bulky on the elbow. And you can see the elbow appears to like give room for movement, so the wearer can, if I extend this my cuff now, the sleeve kind of looks tight, but I can still fold. I can receive call without bending my hand all the way to the side, because the cut accommodated for that. So yep, that's basically what it is on the sleeve. Also, you have to be careful not to go. So you see, in the corner I said there was a trial and error, so that's why you have this and you have this other one. When you're cutting this, you want to be careful not to go in too much. If you go in too much, yes, you are going to remove all these creases here, so you can eliminate it. Imagine I cut out all of this. Now you see that there is no more crease. But the problem now is that if I'm trying to stretch my hand to the back, see as the fabric snaps out. So if the fabric is not there, there will be discomfort for me to make that movement. And of course, it's supposed to be comfortable. Don't make it too tight, right? So that's why there's like a standard rule. When you are cutting a striped fabric, the yoke should go across. So if the stripe is straight like this, the yoke should bend. The reason I'm smiling about the bending, let me just tell you the story.
Now come look at this.
When I started staffing, what I know is in mathematics, when you call a line straight, it's either horizontal or vertical. So the guy was supposed to make cuff, and I was asking, should the line be straight, bend, or slant? So I said it should be straight, or straight like this.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Then he asked again, straight, right? I said yes. So he went ahead and made the cuff straight. I was like, no, I said straight like this. He said, hey. He made it straight now. So that's when I learned that when it is going like going vertical, they call it straight. When it is going horizontal, they call it bend. And when it is going slant, when it's going diagonally, they call it slant. That's just by the way.
Use your head, my friend.
For the yoke, I can either make it bend or slant. But in this case, I would go with bend. I'll lay it on top of it. So I'm going to use the back more like a pattern to cut the yoke. So the depth I use from this neck depth for the yoke, I use between 7 to 7.5 inches for adults.